I'm Dennis Anderson along with Julie Zenner. Here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
Locally grown food is picking up support and it is paying off for consumers, farmers, and businesses. Tonight, more on the good food economy and its benefits for the region.
An innovative leadership program coming to the Twin Ports could help solve community problems through arts-based programming.
And we'll have the latest business update and a news file story from 25 years ago.
So don't go away. Almanac North is next. Hello and welcome to Almanac North. Thank you very much for watching. We have a lot to chew on this week, Julie.
Does that have something to do with our first topic?
I think it does, but food puns aside, let's introduce our first guests.
All right. Thank you, Denny, and welcome everyone. Despite the late spring, it's been a good year so far for proponents of locally grown food. Developments on many fronts have created momentum for the idea that eating food sourced close to home is a healthy choice, and hospitals, universities, and businesses are starting to see the benefits. Here to tell us more is Jamie Harvie of the Institute for a Sustainable Future and member of the Good Food Network Steering Committee. Janaki Fisher-Merritt is the owner of the Food Farm in Carlton County, and Julie Myhre is executive director of the Carlton-Cook-Lake-St. Louis County Health Board. Welcome to all of you for being here. Really appreciate it. Jamie, many people may be surprised at how big local food is really becoming in our region. Why is it gaining so much traction, do you think?
I think there's a variety of reasons. I think at one level, people are recognizing the impacts of poor eating, poor nutritional foods that they're eating, that it's important for the socioeconomic health of the community. They want to support their local producers and the businesses that those producers support by purchasing their farm equipment and seeds and so forth. Mm-hmm. And I think just sort of this new sense of that health is really important and is integral to our broad economic health as not only as a region but as a nation.
So how have you gone out and created an interest for hospitals, schools, universities, restaurants? How have you done that?
Sure. Well, there's a variety of players that are involved in this effort. And I would argue that the interest has always been there, and it's really about connecting the dots, because what we're having to do is re-engineer a food system that's been in place for the last 30, 40 years. So it's about creating new ways of doing things. And it takes some creative people, and we're finding these in the restaurants and the hospitals and so forth that are involved in this movement.
Mm-hmm. And the Food Farm, Janaki, is one of those it's become an institution around this area with lots of people, buying shares in the local farm. Do you see that there is a growing number of people who really want to get on board with this? A waiting list for your farm, other farms that are sprouting up?
Yeah, we do still have a waiting list, and we have a lot of interest, and that's happened even as the number of farms have expanded quite a bit in just the last couple of years. We actually formed a group called, we call ourselves the CSA Guild. We're just a loose collection of CSA farms from this whole region. And I should have checked before I came on, but I think there's close to 15 of us now. And we were the first to start here in the early 90s. And so that's been great to see the member base grow even as we've expanded the number of farms that are able to offer.
Mm-hmm. Julie, are products grown locally regulated by health departments in any certain way?
Are they regulated?
Yeah.
I think the CSA, when people buy shares, that's coming directly. They know the source. They know where that's coming. So grocery stores, there is a regulation process.
I see.
Absolutely, through the FDA.
Are you finding more and more grocery stores are coming aboard?
I think at this point, really what we're seeing is the restaurants and the institutions And there are some grocery stores that are slowly experimenting. And part of this, again, it goes to that re-engineering our system. They're used to their distributors that bring large volumes and so forth. So it's about creating that stable demand from the restaurants, the institutions, to enable the producers like Janaki and other farming colleagues to scale up.
Might it take more of the public to go into their supermarkets and say, hey, we would like to buy locally grown products?
That certainly does help, and I'm not sure if Jamie even knows about this yet, but a friend of mine from high school just bought the Woodland Foods in Carlton, and he's going to be carrying local produce and local beef. He's a beef farmer, so it was sort of a natural fit for that. But that's really exciting that even a small grocery store like that can actually, express an interest in this and help push the whole thing along, even in a small community.
And we have now a logo for a region for producers that has been developed in conjunction with the Minnesota Department of Agriculture. So soon consumers will be able to see the Superior Grown logo out on produce and so forth. So again, it's about building demand, building awareness, and so forth.
I'm interested, you said, Janaki, that there's a waiting list for your farm. Is there enough production going on to meet the demands of institutions like Essentia or like UMD? If they come to a farm like you, can you actually meet their needs?
Yeah, at this point we can, because it's a slow process. When Jamie started this Food Hub pilot project a couple years ago, he kind of picked a couple of us producers who were willing to be guinea pigs, because it takes a lot of work for a large institution to kind of reorient their whole food system internally to be able to take raw products from the farm, products that aren't necessarily diced and packaged and pre-cooked. And so we're just sort of working with them to try and get all the kinks worked out. And we'll be in the second year this year, and it's really exciting. But we need the production to expand, but we're trying to do it in tandem with those institutions who are seeking more.
Janaki, you mentioned beef a few moments ago. So it's probable then that there are growers who are raising beef, maybe chicken, maybe lamb, not just vegetables?
Right, yeah. We have a lot of other animal producers who are getting into the local thing too, and that's another whole thing that I don't know a lot about. The processing end of it is a lot more difficult because we don't have a local processor anywhere close to us here.
And we're in the middle of completing a feasibility study for a meat processing facility in the Northland. It looks like there's enough producers and enough demand. And even our institutions, our hospitals have been purchasing some local beef, as has UMD. So it's not specific to the local vegetables. But I think the involvement of the healthcare community has really helped broaden people's sense that this is about public health in a broad sense.
Let's talk about what the health board's involvement is when you look at the whole scheme of this.
We absolutely, when we look at the health of the population, we're concerned about what's happening in this region. And we know that our health status has been some concerning for us, that we know we have higher rates of heart disease and cancer. And so this is a way for us to support a local movement where we know that a major contributor to premature death is our health behaviors. And one of those things is not only healthy, active lifestyles, but healthy diet. And knowing the source of where your food is coming from, supporting the local food initiative is very much what public health wants to support.
Now, the Superior Compact, you have a lot of organizations that are getting on board with this goal of, is it 20% by 2020?
Yeah, 20% by 2020.
Which would be locally produced or locally grown food in their system by 2020.
Right, within what we call our bioregion. So that's northwestern Wisconsin, northeastern Minnesota. And that region comes from a study that UMD researchers had put together that asked the question, can we grow enough food in our region to support all the consumers? And the answer was yes. I don't think we all want to give up our bananas or coffee and so forth. And so the 20% is something that we're seeing around the country actually as a very attainable goal. And already one of the restaurants that has signed on with the compact, Duluth Grill, which is locally sort of renowned, is already purchasing 26%. So we know that businesses can pay a good wage, pay health benefits, have a good business and still make money and purchase and reinvest in the local economy.
Are they your largest buyer in terms of the restaurants?
We actually haven't measured all of them with respect to their volume and market. My guess is that the University of UMD would likely be the largest demand. They haven't signed on to the compact yet, but are exploring that.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to ask Janaki, as a producer, when you look at that 20% number and our short growing season, do you think that's realistic, that 20% of the food can be produced from around here?
Oh, I definitely think that's realistic. I mean, between storage and processing, and not just looking at vegetables, but the whole range of food items that institutions need, the 20% is very attainable, and the Duluth Grill has shown that it's attainable, and they made that just in a few short years. I mean, they started from zero 3-4 years ago, and they've gotten to 26% already, so it's very doable.
Will consumers pay more for a locally grown product?
They will. Actually, there was a study done by a different UMD researcher that showed that people are willing to pay a little bit more and want to purchase it, and that's on one of the websites that we can make available. And Northland College is already doing 20% local, so it's very doable.
And just the quality difference is huge. And touching on Julie's public health perspective, if we want people to eat more vegetables, we need to give them better vegetables. And locally grown organic vegetables are just better. They taste better. People will want to eat them. And it's way easier to get your kids to eat good tasting vegetables than just whatever stuff is shipped from California or Mexico. It really makes a difference.
And one of our institutions, they had extra carrots left over from their first kickoff event. And the kitchen staff were sort of arguing about who would take home actually Janaki's carrots afterwards. They're just, it could be this, it's the same with all the producers in the Northland, that freshness is there and really helps the consumption.
And public health tries to promote and educate so people know that this is available. It's an incredible opportunity for the local resources that are here. And so we really view our role as promoting and supporting these efforts.
And there are more and more producers now then too.
And the other part of it is, it's fun. Once people get into it, it's really fun to know who your food is coming from. For myself, we don't raise everything that I eat. So we have people we get beef from. We have people we get other things from, pork and other things.
Sure.
And it's great it just really builds a sense of community aside from the economic part, which is really important, but it really builds a sense of community when you get to know people who are raising your food.
And can people already find that Minnesota-grown, Superior-grown logo label out there if they're interested?
It will be out there in the next couple of weeks or slowly sort of building up.
Fascinating subject.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming in. Good luck
Absolutely,
with it.
thanks.
Now, let's dig into our news file archive for a look at what was making news 25 years ago this week.
14 acres of city-owned land at the end of Barker's Island is going to be the topic of conversation at tonight's Planning Commission meeting. Last week, Jack Cully, who wants to develop the property into a multi-million-dollar townhome project, told the Superior City Council that this project is just what Superior needs.
We're not asking for the city to provide anything other than the opportunity for us to purchase the land to make this, to create this development.
Mayor Herb Bergson said today that the project has a lot of merit and would certainly bring in some much-needed tax dollars to the city. But Bergson says Cully will probably be told tonight that his offer of $238,000 for the property isn't enough. Cully said today he's not surprised about that. He says he just made an initial offer.
Any development proposal of this magnitude, representing such a major change in the island, is bound to have some controversy. We recognize that.
In Superior, Katie O'Keefe, KDLH News.
How can arts-based programming help solve community problems? Well, this fall, up to 25 Twin Ports area residents will take part in an innovative training program that could answer that question. The Creative Community Leadership Institute is taking applications right now for folks interested in the training. Joining us tonight is Bill Payne, Dean of the School of Fine Arts at UMD, and Annie Dugan is curator at the Duluth Art Institute. Thank you both for being here. Bill, the School of Fine Arts is partnering in this effort. Can you tell us about it?
We applied for a grant through the Intermediate Arts organization from the Twin Cities. They received a Bush grant to take this leadership institute that they've been doing in the Twin Cities for over 10 years and do it in regions outside of the Twin Cities. And they did a pilot in Fargo last year, and we're the first grantee. And so this Leadership Institute is led by 3 faculty members, and it lasts 4 two-day sessions over the course of between September and November. And it's a wonderful institute, and we're really thrilled to be the partner with Intermedia. Intermedia is doing all of the legwork to deliver the program.
Annie, I understand that you have taken this training yourself.
Yes.
Can walk through it a little bit so that people kind of get a better sense of what it is that people who are participating will learn and how that can help our community.
Sure. I think it's important to start even from the beginning as far as who's part of this group. And what Intermedia is really trying to do is to put together a group of people cross sectors. So not just when, creative and arts is used a lot in the language when they're talking about the program, but they are looking for community leaders who, maybe from the chamber, maybe from the city, people maybe, from churches that are really active, so this is looking at leaders and people, community members who are active and networked and connected, all across the sectors, because that's such an important part when we think about how we're taking, using this program to go forward. So, go ahead.
Yeah, the faculty talk about creating a cohort. They're curating a cohort of people from the Twin Ports community and creating a network. That's one of the great outcomes of the institute, is that it creates a network of people who've been trained through the same curriculum. They understand the concepts, and they can connect as they do projects and use resources from across the different sectors.
So solving community problems through art-based programming. Can you give us some examples?
Let me talk in theory, and then Annie's going to talk specifically, okay? One of the creative process is one that involves collaboration, and oftentimes, as artists, we see this a lot in collaborative processes where we ideas that aren't necessarily immediately available to you become right there in front of you because of the mixture of people that are in the room, or because of the way that you're using language or visuals. And so it really is about trying to put the creative process into problem solving for communities. Not so much about making art. It really is about creativity and the fact that if we have creative process, we might come up with solutions that weren't apparent.
So you're creating a process to solve problems.
And
examples
I
might
think,
be?
Well, one actually locally that I think has been really fantastic to see is the Phantom Galleries in Superior. And that's an example where artists, saw, and artists, the businesses along Tower Avenue, the mayor, the chamber, all saw these empty storefronts, as something that wasn't great for the community. This was a problem for the community. So Phantom Galleries worked with, we talked about cross-sector, worked with businesses, worked with the government to have artists populate those empty storefronts. And they had openings, they had, the artists were working in that space. And all of the businesses along Tower Avenue got really excited about the fact that there was some enlivening of that space, that people, were looking in those storefronts, were, and I think that they were successful in renting a lot of those spaces out because of that enlivening through the arts that they had. So that's one, specific example of how arts can, I think when we think of it, it's not looking at sort of, this is our list of problems, this is what our we need to solve. It's more like looking at what we have and using our assets then to solve those problems.
It's developing community. I mean, that community development, developing a community, and sometimes the creative process or the creation of something or the problem solving can bring unlikely people together, and then they enjoy it and they come up with a solution for how to develop their community. It has great gains for Duluth and Superior.
Is there an aspect of this that could work on social issues, racism, bullying, the synthetic drug problems that we're having in Duluth? Because art on some level allows people to communicate about topics that might be a little touchy to communicate verbally. Is there part of that too?
Certainly, it's at the center of the curriculum. The people who come into the cohort and go through the process do have to talk about power and their own perceptions of others and how to bring diverse groups of people together to make things happen. And diversity means much more than just race.
Yeah.
It means a wide range of economic backgrounds or experiences, or you name it. There's all kinds of different diversity in our community. And how do you bring old Finns together with young Chicago African Americans and have them solve a problem together? It can be done, but it's about being sensitive to that idea that there's difference, and difference can be a positive.
So who are you looking for in the community to sign up? And it's not too late to sign up.
It's not too late to sign up. The application process is available online through Intermedia Arts. If you have any questions, you can call the School of Fine Arts at UMD 726-7261 and ask for Amanda or me, and we'll help you find the information. We're looking for people who have experience with community organizing, with community development, who have that desire to infuse what they do with the arts, or arts organizers, or artists and art organizers who have used art to address particular community projects or issues. We're looking for young people with no experience and old people. We're looking for people with boardroom power and people with street cred.
Sure.
They're really, when they say curating a cohort, they're talking about mixing it up and bringing people together from both of our communities, Duluth and Superior, and putting them together so that this network starts to cross sectors. People in governance, people in healthcare, people in public safety, people in arts organizations, people in education, you name it, all of those sectors. If we can solve problems together, we can be stronger and we can get past some of these things. Sometimes, like I said, the appearance of the solution is often in that creative process.
Andy, this is happening in other communities?
Oh, absolutely. I took the program in the Twin Cities at Intermedia Arts, and seeing what they've been doing for the past number of years through that program is really, truly exciting. And when Bill talks about it developing a network, I see it being a network not only of the cohort that is established here in the Twin Ports, but also connecting it with the folks who've been through the program in Fargo, the folks who have been through the program in the Twin Cities. I mean, they're really sort of envisioning a network, of the upper Midwest, and I think that that's really exciting.
And before people sign up for something, they often want to know what kind of time commitment is involved and what they're getting themselves into. So I'm circling back to that first question.
Sure. It's a in the Twin Ports, what they're looking at is it's 4 weekends, so it's a Friday and Saturday, 4 of them in the fall, that people would commit to. There's time outside of those 4 weekends in classwork, in reading.
What I heard the faculty members saying was 100 hours in the actual institute with the cohort and 100 hours outside over a 3-month period. And you got to be there.
Yeah, there's a commitment.
It is you need to be committed to it.
But how do you think that Duluth will look different because of this?
I think through that commitment, through that time spent with people that you might not normally connect with and might not normally do that kind of really hard work, I think being able to call someone from someone from the arts can call someone in the city and have something beautiful happen from that. So I think that the connections and the networks that are made through that kind of shared experience can really develop into something great.
Annie, Bill, thank you for spending your evening with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job. Well, it's time now for the week's economic news from the folks at Business North. Two Harbors-based Pure Driven has announced a refined mission to focus on helping companies generate leads and new sales with online marketing. Statistics convince the web-based marketing firm that generating client leads is its best direction. Pure Driven has increased its focus on providing services that cater toward bringing in and tracking website visits and convert those leads into sales for manufacturers. The locally owned firm also will refocus its emails and blog posts to address the needs of manufacturers.
There is a change in the top leadership at Calumet Superior, Wisconsin's only oil refinery. Plant manager Dave Podratz has been named refinery manager at the Dakota Prairie Refining Facility in Dickinson, North Dakota. Dakota Prairie is the first new U.S. refinery built since 1976. Podratz will lead the organizational development, startup, and refinery commissioning. Colin Shaddy has been promoted to refinery manager at Calumet Superior, where he previously was operations manager.
Lake Superior Magazine of Duluth received 4 awards, including 3 first-place honors from the Minnesota Society of Professional Journalists. 7 Great Fall Drives by Bob Berg received a first-place award as Best Magazine Service Package. His story served as reference guide for natives and visitors, the judges said. The magazine took first place and third place in the Best Magazine Feature category, with My Week with the Superior Sentinel by Kyle Underwood earning first place, and Wild About Weather by editor Connie LeMay taking third. For more on these and other stories, visit businessnorth.com.
If you have a comment, now's the time to call. Dial 218-788-2849 to leave a message or send an email to almanacnorth@wdsc.org. And you can surf to the WDSC website for program updates, news about the station, or watch archived video of your favorite public TV programs. Well, July is right around the corner. Julie, I think summer's arrived.
I am not sure summer's arrived, but it's hard to believe that the 4th of July will be here already in a few days.
Next week. Wow, already. All right, for Julie and all of us here at Almanac North, I'm Dennis Anderson. Have a great weekend, a great 4th of July, and be kind.
Extra is provided by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.